The second wave of COVID-19 has wreaked havoc in India, affecting millions of people. Ophthalmologists have been witnessing several ocular manifestations of this virus ever since the pandemic began. A recent spurt in cases of rhino-orbital mucormycosis has been a cause of major concern. Very recently, we had a 45-year-old male who complained of bilateral sudden loss of vision. The patient had bilateral ptosis with total ophthalmoplegia. He denied perception of light in both the eyes. He had bilateral CRAO. Severe retinal pallor is evident in both the eyes with vascular attenuation and cattle trucking. We had another 50-year-old female who had sudden bilateral loss of vision. She too had bilateral ptosis, total ophthalmoplegia, CRAO, and denied perception of light in either eye. We had one more 60-year-old male with uniocular proptosis, total ophthalmoplegia, and CRAO. Interestingly, all these patients had three things in common. They had recently recovered from COVID, they were diabetic, and they had been given oral steroids as part of treatment for COVID. Such cases had initially left us flabbergasted, but on scouring the literature and discussion with peers, we realized that these patients had actually developed an opportunistic infection of mucormycosis. Mucormycosis is a lethal fungal infection. Mucor, Rhizophus, and Rhizomucor are some of the species isolated from patients of mucormycosis. Spores of mucor are spread in the soil, air, and decaying organic material. It may be present in the nasal mucosa as a commensal. Mucor becomes pathological in patients who are using corticosteroids or immunosuppressive drugs, or those who have diabetes or immunodeficiency. There are several reasons behind mucormycosis becoming rampant in patients with COVID. COVID patients have decreased innate immunity with reduced number of T lymphocytes. COVID is known to cause insulin resistance and fungi flourish in sugar-rich medium. Steroids given as part of treatment for COVID also favor fungal growth. Cytokine storm leads to increased iron and ferritin, for which mucor has affinity. The mold usually gains entry through the nose and then spreads to sinuses, followed by the orbital and intracranial structures. Mucor has predilection for internal elastic laminar and induces arteritis and thrombosis. The spread of fungus may be through direct invasion or through blood vessels. Mucormycosis is not contagious and does not spread from one person to another. Now, when to suspect mucormycosis? Nasal symptoms are usually first to appear and include nasal stuffiness, nasal discharge, and an eschar may be visible in the nasal cavity. Patients may have periorbital or facial edema, discoloration, pain, chemosis, and proptosis. As the disease progresses, there may be sudden loss of vision with ptosis, ocular motility restriction and diplopia, and altered sensorium, and seizures when the disease has spread to intracranial structures. In patients with vision loss, ptosis, and ophthalmoplegia, mucor has usually invaded the orbit, causing orbital apex syndrome. When mucormycosis is suspected, there should be no delay in confirmation of diagnosis and in treatment. An ENT referral needs to be sent for, and diagnostic nasal endoscopy should be done. Direct microscopy using a KOH mount and calcoflower white aids in rapid diagnosis. Culture and sensitivity using seborrheic dextrose agar with gentamicin or chloramphenicol and polymyxin B, but without cycloheximide, incubated at 30 to 37 degrees Celsius helps in genus and species identification and antifungal susceptibility testing. Contrast-enhanced MRI along with angiogram is the preferred radiological modality. Nasal and sinusoidal mucosal thickening, sinus opacification, orbital fat stranding, rectus muscle thickening, and stretching of the optic nerve are some of the radiological signs. Molecular diagnostics and rapid histopathology may further aid in diagnosis. The management of mucormycosis requires a multidisciplinary team. Once the diagnosis is made, IV liposomal amphotericin B should be started immediately. Other variants of amphotericin B are cheaper but are less effective and are more nephrotoxic. If amphotericin is contraindicated because of impaired renal function, posaconazole or isavuconazole may be used, but combination antifungal therapy is usually not recommended. Along with amphotericin, early and aggressive surgical debridement of paranasal sinuses is recommended, with or without sinus irrigation with amphotericin. Transcutaneous retrobulbar amphotericin B is given in cases with preserved vision and minimal orbital involvement. TRAM helps in cases with thrombosed blood vessels where IV amphotericin can't reach. Injections are usually given daily for 5 to 7 days. Orbital exenteration is a highly mutilating procedure. It is the last resort in cases with significant orbital involvement and can be life-saving. IV amphotericin is continued for a minimum 4 weeks followed by oral posaconazole or isavuconazole for 3 to 6 months. Prevention can be done with judicious use of corticosteroids, strict diabetes control and strict aseptic precautions while administering oxygen. Black fungus is actually a misnomer. Mucor is actually grayish-white in color. It is called black because of the rapid necrosis it causes. Mucor carries a high fatality rate. Early diagnosis and treatment can help save many lives. We sincerely hope to defeat this pandemic with grit and perseverance. Wishing you all good health and prosperity. Thank you.
I Spy